YouTube channel. I want to do a video right now about spinal anatomy. And I know you could probably find hundreds of videos in the YouTube network on spinal anatomy, but I want to do something different. I'm a kinesiologist. I'm also a radiographer. So I want to just kind of go real quickly because I only got about 8 minutes. I want to make this a 5-minute video. While you're at it, please make sure you subscribe to this channel. And when you're done, if you like this, like the video and share this with other people who could probably get the benefit of understanding this stuff in layman's terms. So your spine is basically made out of about 33 vertebrae, which is composed of your cervical spine, which we call in layman's terms the neck, your thoracic spine, which we call in layman's terms the upper back, and it connects to your 12 ribs with 10 attached ribs and 2 floating ribs at the bottom. You have 5 lumbar vertebrae. After that, 5 and 12 from the cervical and 12 from the thoracic is 24. That leaves a total of 9 with your sacrum and coccyx. The sacrum right beneath the lumbar is 5, and the coccyx is a 4 fused vertebrae. From the spine is a continuation of the brain. It's the brain stem. It attaches to the brain stem at the lower portion, at the bottom of the brain, the cerebellum, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I didn't just look it up. And then it travels down into the thoracic spine where it terminates, which means to end. And from there, you have a lot of root nerves that come out from the spine in the thoracic, in the cervical and the thoracic area. And then where it terminates in the lumbar area, you have a lot of root nerves that start there, originate there, and innervate down into the lower limbs. And if you can imagine, your whole body uses this nervous system for communication from the central processing unit, the brain, and it sends the signals through the autonomic nervous system, which is the spine. So it's all a part of the nervous system. You have the central nervous system, which is the brain, which is the commander control center of the nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system, which is the branches of the nervous system, which carry out the commands of the commander, as you could say. And so up in the cervical area, it probably basically is, mostly extends out into the arms and innervate down into the fingers. So when you have problems in your fingers and fingertips, you're probably having some type of impingement or injury or trauma or inflammation even to the cervical region of the body. The thoracic nerves probably more likely innervate the organs of the lung, and so forth, the heart, the movement, stuff like that. Those things move and they have to communicate with the command center as well. Then in the lumbar region, you have your abdomen, your abdominal muscles, your abdominal organs that need to communicate with the central nervous system as well. So then down in your sacrum, in coccyx, in lower lumbar area, you have the nerve that innervate your lower limbs, your legs. So if you have problems with your feet, the tingling in your legs, you're going to probably either have some sacrum or coccyx below the knees area. Above the knee to the hip, it's probably lumbar nerve damage. So basically that's what I want to tell you, is that if you can kind of determine where these things, each of these systems lie, you can kind of determine what system is affected and what kind of injury or what kind of dysfunction you're suffering based on what kind of symptoms you're experiencing, unless you have some central nervous system issues where those symptoms could vary significantly. There's a wide range of systems because the nervous system controls everything in the body. It communicates with everything in the body. So if you're not having your nervous system operating properly, it's not going to communicate properly with the center. So you're not going to get the correct signals. Pain is one of the signals that the central nervous system and the autonomic nervous system sends out into the musculature of the body, or from the musculature of the body back into the brain of the body, and it kind of tells you, oh, don't just do this, or to do this, or to stop this, or to prepare for this, or it just kind of gives you indications and directions and signals based on where you feel that pain. So sometimes if that system is not intact, you can get pain signals where you aren't actually experiencing a pain stimulus. but your nervous system is not able to understand that and correctly distinguish or to communicate that that's not what's going on. So the communication is basically crossed. So if your nervous system isn't working properly, any one of these nerves coming out of any one of these vertebrae have any type of damage to it for any reason, you're going to experience some type of systems within the nerve that innervate that part of the spine. And like I said, at the lower part, it's not actually hitting the spine, but it's hitting the nerve that originate from the spine at the nerve root. So that's why I wanted to give you this brief overview of of spine anatomy. It was not just to tell you that you have the cervical spine, which is 7, the lumbar spine 12, the thoracic spine 12, and the lumbar spine 5, sacrum, cox, and we basically know all that. What I wanted to do is give you an overview of how all these things work together and affect your body, which outstretching reach throughout the body. So the spine is something we look at as something that's very insignificant, but it also is a very important support structure for the rest of your body. It holds the rest of your body up. It gives the top of your body support that sits on the lower limbs of the body. So the lower limbs of the body rely on this spine, this spinal structure being intact for it to be able to work at optimal efficiency. So you're going to be experiencing any type of pain and stuff like that. It's going to cause you some type of immobility or some type of restriction in life. And that's one of the reasons that doctors don't really look at your back, because you can imagine everybody's complaining about a back problem because everything leads back to the back. So when you actually do have a back problem, it can be very hard to get a doctor to actually look at it, which was the case in my scenario. I suffered for a long time and I have significant damage to my back because I was able to still walk, although I had significant trauma, and it didn't really send a red light signal to my doctor that maybe I should do more investigation on this. But just knowing this should allow you to start knowing that you have to be more cognizant and more take charge of your health and do the things that strengthen the muscles around these areas and rest, ice compress, elevation, everything that you can do to relieve yourself of those symptoms, and do not rely completely on the healthcare and your doctor for finding that issue out. Also, make sure you eat good food, a good diet with polyphenols and antioxidant diets will help to restore damaged nerves. When you start to get fibroids on your nerves and the nerve damage, you can heal that even with castor oil. So you are in control of your health. This is Hustle God. I hope you like this video. I'm trying to update you on your spine. I hope that this was touching your mind. Spread love.